everyone, welcome to the On Track podcast. My guest today is Mark Sisson. He's the founder of Primal Kitchen, which he built into a $200 million brand. At 71, he's in better shape than most 30-year-olds and is currently disrupting the footwear industry with his new company, Peluva. Today, we're talking about the mindset of an entrepreneur, all things health, and more. So welcome to the podcast,
Thanks
Mark.
for having me, Annie. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks for being on. Well, first, I want to show some of these shoes that you have.
Oh, yeah.
You have a couple in your bag, but
Yeah. No, this is the desert boot that we make. It's a 5-toed shoe. So the unique part about this is we're trying to let feet be feet. We're letting feet do what they're supposed to do, to contact the ground, to feel the ground. So these are thin underneath, to be able to articulate the toes individually, which almost no shoes do. So that's why we have a glove-like fit, the 5 toes. They're flexible, so you can. If you step on a cobblestone, you want your ankle to roll a little bit because you're feeling it underneath. So all of these things combine to make, first of all, the most comfortable shoe you'll ever wear, and secondly, a functional shoe that looks really good, I think. Yeah.
And I used them this morning. Yeah, I really like this style a lot.
Yeah.
For those listening, they're very cool toe shoes, but made just very stylish and unique.
Yeah, and then this is a trail shoe that we make. I don't know if do you have viewers too?
I think I have the training shoe, right?
Okay,
Or the running shoe.
Yeah, okay, yeah, right.
Not the trail shoe.
Right, so that's the trail shoe, the ATR. And then this is a gym shoe. This is called the Sport Mesh.
Yes.
Anyway, we have lots of different styles, all contemplated to allow your feet to do what your feet want to do. They want to be moving. Your feet, otherwise we spend our lives in these very restrictive shoes that are, they scrunch the big toe against all the other toes. The big toe is like the most important part of the foot. It is supposed to be abducting away from the foot, but we somehow negate that with our shoes. Most shoes elevate the heel an inch or an inch and a half, which then has all sorts of problems up the kinetic chain, whether it's shortening of the calf muscle or putting more pressure on the Achilles or the plantar fascia, or even the lower back. Most shoes, they're so cushiony that you can't feel anything that you're walking on. And so you get lulled into this false sense of walking on a cloud when in fact your feet want to be active in every step you take. They want to be able to inform the brain of exactly how to orchestrate the entire kinetic chain, how much to scrunch the arch, how much to articulate the toes, how much to roll the ankle out a little bit, how deeply to bend the knee to offset the step you just took. All these things. This is all based on information that the foot is supposed to be gathering barefoot, but because we're not barefoot most of the time, the next best thing is to wear minimalist shoes like Peluva, which is the name of the company.
Okay, so your thoughts on pronating and overpronating, because that's a very big issue with runners. I mean, I was always told I overpronate, and they were trying to give me very supportive shoes based on that.
Orthotics, right?
Okay, so you think, is that still good to...
No, every foot supinates and pronates. And overpronation is sometimes an artifact of having the wrong shoes and then causing people to accommodate their gait by rolling the foot inward and overpronating because they've lost use of their arch, for instance. And they've lost use of their arch because they've been wearing supportive shoes that unburdened the arch of having to do any work. So the foot has all of these amazing muscles and bones and connective tissue, and it wants to be moving all the time. It wants to be constantly. It's like training any other part of the body. You want the muscles of the feet, what we call the intrinsic muscles of the feet, to be working. But most footwear, especially athletic footwear, especially cleats, just bind the foot up and cause all manner of problems further up the kinetic chain. Yeah.
When I was running on a trail, that's when I first got stress fractures on the top of my foot because I was just not trained for that. I was just running on flat pavement or grass in Florida at the track. And when I finally did a trail race, I got a stress fracture immediately.
But you got it from wearing what kind of shoes?
Hoka's.
Oh, well, let's not name names. but I mean that's
the cloud shoes.
No, it's a classic example though of when you're running on a trail. That's the time when your brain says, give me the information. Every step I land is going to be in a different orientation because it's a trail. I might step on a rock sideways. I might step on the side of the trail itself. I might step on a stick or a divot. And the brain wants all that information to be able to, listen, it's so fast. By the time you weight the forward foot, the brain already knows exactly how to do all these things if it has the information, if it has what we call the ground feel. And that's what we provide with with Paluvas, and you don't get ground feel with these other shoes. You get cushioning and
Yeah, I guess because you're kind of locked in like this.
Yeah.
So then you can use each toe and kind of grip more, push off your toes more.
yeah, and because the shoes are flexible, you can, if there's a depression, one toe goes in and the others stay out. If there's a stick, one goes over it, the others go. This is how the foot is supposed to be. If you think about your hands and how you use your hands
Yes.
every single day, well, the feet are just like hands. We have digits on our feet that are supposed to be interacting with our environment, with the universe. Imagine trying to go about your day with oven mitts on your hands.
That's a
try
good
to
way to put-
try to
yeah.
write, type anything or play piano or do the dishes or whatever. You can't do it. Well, that's what we're doing with our feet with regular footwear.
How long were you kind of testing this out before you decided to create a brand around it?
So I was an early adopter of the original five-toed footwear, like 2007.
Okay.
And I had 25 pair of them in my closet. It's all I ever wore.
Wow.
Yeah. No, and I had them in all different colors and styles. But that particular company wasn't, I think, accommodating my specific needs, which were I wanted to be able to walk long distances on pavement, and those shoes were so thin that you would get a bone bruise if you walked on pavement for 2 or 3 miles, and they didn't have enough. And the uppers were not substantial enough, and the colors were kind of funky. So I just decided, listen, this is an amazing idea, and this is how feet should be moving, with individual toe boxes. And the minimalist footwear movement has been around for 25 or 30 years. There's lots of minimalist shoes, and I use the term loosely. Most of them just have a big, wide toe box, which is enough space for the toes to kind of spread out. But, if your foot's been encased in a regular shoe most of your life, and it's been misshapen, misformed, you have bunions, or you've got hammer toes or whatever, no amount of putting it into a wide toe box shoe is going to fix that. It's like when you take your shoes off, they're still kind of funky, which is why so many people wear toe spacers, for instance. They recognize that the toes need to splay outwardly, and most conventional footwear does not do that.
Yeah, so you noticed, I guess, these issues personally, and you wanted to change that and kind of help other people. And then you also noticed there was a gap in the market where
Yeah.
you were like, I can definitely
Yeah.
make a difference. And I guess there weren't a lot of competitors out there when you first started.
There were not a lot of competitors, and it's more than making a difference. I think this is how people should be walking. I think we should either be barefoot, which, well, let's face it, we've created all these artificial surfaces that have, that concrete pavement, hardwood floors, marble floors, tile, whatever. And it's difficult to, and then, just society not allowing us to go barefoot on most occasions. So we need a shoe that's close, that approximates going barefoot, but isn't barefoot.
Yeah, I know you said in one of your videos that sneakers were like putting your feet in a cast. And it's very true. It kind of holds it in together, and you're not having much movement with it. So I've actually noticed with my run, since wearing these, I'm a little bit faster because I'm able to sprint better.
Yeah.
Because I felt like my shoes, with whether it's higher on the heel or higher on the sides, whatever it is, it wasn't allowing me to push off my toes enough, and I wasn't as fast with my sprints. So now wearing those, I wore them at the track as well. I was able to get off the line a lot quicker because I was pushing off my toes. So that was one thing.
You're pushing off your toes. The toes, again, they want to splay out. If you run barefoot down a wet, sandy, hard-packed beach, and you go back and look at your footprints, that's the widest your foot is ever going to be, because by the time you strike on that sprint, your toes have splayed out because you're barefoot. Now you do it in a restrictive shoe, and while the foot wants to splay out, it can't. And so it compromises your strength, your power, your gait, your stride length, everything. So I'm glad to hear that you're getting stronger as a result of training in Paluvas.
Way stronger. And also, it's not just for runners. I think a lot of people before were like, oh, toe shoes are just for training and runners, and like, I'm not going to get those. But it's really just for your day-to-day walking around. Like, we're always on our feet.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you live in New York or something like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's still, for a lot of people, known as like a training shoe, but it's an everyday shoe.
No, in fact, what we tell people is don't run in these unless you really know how to run. Unless you're a 4-foot striker or a mid-foot striker, great running stride. Otherwise, most people are heel strikers, and that's not what this shoe is about. This shoe is about accentuating an already perfect gait. But everybody can walk in these shoes, and every step you take walking in these shoes passively trains your feet. What we say is relax, realign, and strengthen. So it relaxes your toes, realigns them into where they're supposed to be splayed out, and strengthen them, and strengthen them passively because you're walking. You're not putting a lot of G forces by running. Whenever you're walking, it's very gentle on the body, but it adds up to 10,000 steps a day or whatever you're doing adds up to a stronger foot.
So for an athlete that needs cleats, because I know you just said that, can these replace your cleats?
So cleats are a different situation. Like in soccer, I think the reason that soccer cleats are so tight is the concept of soccer is you want to turn the foot into a bat. You want to be able to bat the ball. When you're kicking a ball, you want that solid force into the ball. So there may be some applications here with some other turf sports, but like for instance, soccer, probably not so much. Cycling, I would say a stiff 5-toed cycling shoe would be an amazing thing. We're working on one because you want the strength of the foot to be able to fully engage all of the muscles, which includes once you engage all the muscles and once you once you abduct the great toe away from the foot, you engage more of the leg muscles. So we have a lot of bodybuilders, and bodybuilders typically train leg day barefoot if they can.
To be flat.
To have the big toe outside, have the big toe splayed outwardly as a focal point. The big toe is also known as the great toe. So what they say in the gym is great toe, great ass, because the great toe is wired directly to the glutes.
Really?
Yes. So you engage glutes. That's the reason most really conscious weightlifters and bodybuilders would rather lift leg days barefoot is because they know about this glute big toe connection.
Okay, so no heavy shoes on leg day, paluvas or barefoot?
No heavy shoes on leg day, ever.
Well, I used to wear my running shoes on leg days, and I would always complain about I wasn't able to activate my glutes.
You can't activate your glutes. That's the reason. The big toe needs to be away from the rest of the foot, needs to be planted into the ground, pressed into the ground. It's wired directly to the glute, and that's how that happens. Phil Heath, who was 7 times Mr. Olympia, is now our spokesperson for the bodybuilding community.
Really?
He trains in paluvas. He does leg day in paluvas, and he walks in paluvas.
Well, he's a good spokesperson because he has crazy results. So
exactly,
look at him and believe it.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. So I'm going to keep wearing them, and I'll keep you updated with that. So, Mark, you're 71 years old.
72 now.
72.
Yeah.
You're ripped. And you seem to have a ton of energy. If you had to point one thing you did in your 30s, 40s, or 50s that allowed you to still be at this level where you are today, what would that be? I know there's a lot of things.
No, but it's I stopped endurance training.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about this because I run distances.
I was an endurance athlete most of my youth, from the teens to mid 30s, and it's I just wrote a book called Born to Walk.
Okay.
And it is a takedown of the running boom as being inappropriate for most people. Most people should not be running much.
Meanwhile,
maybe
I'm
once
like
in a while.
running. Okay.
I know, and we've had this conversation. And by the way, when I first met you, I commented that you had the best running form I've ever seen. Do you remember that?
Oh, thank you. Yes, I do. My treadmill video.
Yeah, the treadmill video.
Yes.
So, and to this day, it was amazing.
Thank
and
you.
I was a running coach for a while. But running is catabolic. And so for my own case, I beat myself up doing endurance. I was a marathoner, which is the worst form of endurance training. And then I was a triathlete for a number of years. Again, just beating myself up every day, day in and day out. And it's catabolic. It tears muscle tissue down, and it takes a toll on your lifespan at some point. So, you asked for the one thing. I would say my recognizing that endurance training certainly wasn't a panacea, and it certainly wasn't a ticket to longevity. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It's probably unwise if you're on a true longevity program to engage in these ultra running type events. So what that did was allowed me to gain 30 pounds of muscle. Wow. So I weigh 30 pounds more now than when I was a runner.
Wow.
And same body fat, but 30 pounds more. And when I say more muscle, some of it's muscle, some of it's bone density, right, from lifting heavy weights. Mm-hmm. Some is water weight from the muscle,
right,
added muscle. Some is glycogen from the. So it's not all muscle, but it's it's 30 pounds that I could not keep on as a runner.
Wow.
So as I get older, I want to maintain muscle mass, right? Mm-hmm. That's the real longevity marker, is how much muscle mass you can maintain and how you incorporate that into your movement. So longevity is sort of defined as the ability to move throughout this world, and then that's part one of it, and part two is cognition, being able to, interact with people and have a good time and know what's going on. Those are the two great longevity markers. In terms of muscle mass, it's sort of it allows you to move, and it also enhances all of the other organ function in the body. So you generally have an opportunity to live longer.
So do you feel less fatigued by not doing as much endurance training as you did before?
Oh my God, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I was always beat up. I ran 100 miles a week for 7 years as a runner.
Oh my God, that's
No,
a
and
lot.
when I in those days I didn't run slower than 7-minute miles. So
So you couldn't get faster either, like by doing only endurance and not
yeah.
lifting and speed.
Yeah, but when I say I did not run slower than a 7-minute mile. So I ran 6:45, 6s,
Okay.
5:30s in my training for 100 miles.
Oh,
a week.
got it.
Yeah. So it was not long, slow stuff like they're doing now. It was really all intense.
100 miles a week, though, that's like what cross-country runners do in college.
I don't even think they do that much anymore, because that's seen as too much for being an effective athlete and a well-trained athlete. It's almost too much mileage.
I guess it's changed now because they'll implement cross-training and weights and
Yes.
swimming and yoga
Cycling,
or whatever else.
yeah.
Well, so that's interesting. So how long did it take you to kind of realize that endurance training was not the way to go? Because it takes time to build muscle and kind of see the results.
Sure.
It's not
And it
one day
took
the
me
next.
5 years from the time I retired from competition to stop training like I was an athlete, like I was a competitive elite endurance athlete. So I still, in my back of my mind, I had the Jones for endorphins, for the runner's high. So it took 5 years after I quit racing to just go, oh, wait, now I see what's going on. I'm starting to feel better. I'm not because I wasn't racing at a high caliber anymore. I wasn't quite beating myself up as much, spending more time in the gym lifting weights, seeing the result of lifting weights, sprinting more, and going, oh, this is really what the complete athlete should look like. A little bit of sprint speed, a little bit of power, a little bit of endurance. But, I'm not a huge proponent of VO2 max like
Really?
Peter Attia is.
Why is that?
Well, because I think it's oversold as the number one metric for longevity. And I think if you look at all of the, he'll say things, these guys will say things like, if you're in the top 2% of VO2 max outlive the bottom quintile, by 400% or something like that, whatever the number is, or 400 greater risk of dying early. What they're not looking at, though, is VO2 max is just one metric. I would rather be in the top 20% VO2 max, but also be in the top 20% of deadlift, dead hang, sprint speed, mile run, breath hold, plank hold, and all those other kind of metrics that define a well-rounded athlete, rather than put all my eggs into one VO2 max basket. And with VO2 max, it is genetically limited. So there's only a point to which you can train your VO2 max. And I think with a lot of people, you can hit that point pretty efficiently and effectively, and then just go, no amount of extra training is going to increase my VO2 max. So I've hit my own personal max, and it's not close to the top 2%, but I don't care because I got all these other things that I do very well and without pain and without stiffness and soreness.
Yeah, that's interesting. And I want to go back to what you just said, because this is an issue that I think a lot of people face is like, what should I be focusing on each week to make myself a well-rounded athlete? So kind of like what you said, what would you think are the top, let's say, 10 things you want to focus on each week? I know you said dead hang, you said breath holds.
Yeah,
What are some other
10's a
things?
lot to focus on each week, but I think as we walked in here, I told you I do 2 workouts in the gym a week where I'm just doing sort of upper body stuff. I follow those with some stretching and mobility, so that's 2. Once a week, I get out on my bike and I do a hard ride in the sand with a heart monitor on. So I would call that my race day. So that's
Okay.
the day that I'm putting all the stuff I built in the gym and everywhere else into one effort that calls upon my strength, my power, my speed, my ventilation threshold, VO2 max, all these things. I put that together in that one run. But then another day, once a week, I go stand-up paddle for an hour. That's a hard workout, but it's not raising my heart rate above, I don't know, zone 3 maybe, not
Okay.
even. So then once a week, I sprint. And I do barefoot sprints in the grass, and they're not. It's not a massive workout. It's like warm up, do some drills, and then do like 8 times 60 meters.
So it's like 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, 20, usually 20, because I give myself enough time. If I go on the twos, right? So I'll just have my watch, and I'll on the 2 I'll go, and then I'll finish in whatever 20 seconds, 25, 30, and then when it comes around to the 4, I'll go again, go back the other direction.
So you walk in between.
Yeah.
And then okay.
Yeah.
See, I think this is what people need to realize, is that it's not 2 hours a day that you're spending on these things. It can be 15, 20 minutes.
No, and that 20-minute workout might be the most effective workout I do all week. Now, I have to be rested. I have to be uninjured going into it, because those are the sorts of workouts where you can get injured if you just don't pay attention to the signs. But I'm barefoot. I'm in the grass, so I'm very, very aware of what's going on in my body.
You're pushing your body to the absolute limit when you do sprinting. And that's in the pool, biking, running, all of the really high intensity sprinting is, I think, one of the absolute hardest things you can do. And then you said deadlifts in the gym and dead hangs, planks. What are some of those strength exercises that are super important?
So deadlift, I would say hex bar deadlift is one of the best full body exercise anybody can do. And you got to do it with good form, and you have to work up to it. So you can't just walk up to a bar and put on 300 pounds and go, let me see what I can do. I would say, plank is a great core exercise, but it also works the shoulders and, other parts of the body too. It works glutes, because you squeeze the glutes together when you're doing a plank. I just, I'm trying to pull all of these different range of motions out of, a workout, to be sure that I'm covering all the bases as a good, fit human.
Yeah, functional training,
rather than, again, pigeonholing myself into just a good runner or a great runner. Because when I was a great runner, I didn't ski, I didn't snowboard, I couldn't play tennis, mostly because I didn't want to get injured. I didn't want to do the side-to-side stuff, which was problematic, because later on in life, when I started taking that stuff up, and oh my God, these are fun sports.
Do you ski?
I snowboard.
You snowboard. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And are you able to kind of carve and?
Oh my God! I like, one of the best weeks I ever spent was with my son when he was 17. We went on a 1-week helicopter snowboarding trip.
Where they drop you down out of the helicopter?
Well, you land the helicopter, and then you get out of the
I've seen that on Red Bull. Have you seen those videos?
Yeah, I've seen
where
those.
They just drop you down. I'm like,
these
whoa.
are just, but it was in northern British Columbia, and it's 1.2 million acres of beautiful, pristine mountains that just every time you go down, there's 2 feet of powder, and it's pure and new, and it's amazing. But
you're gonna go this year?
No, I'm. So having said that, I'm gonna pull back on my snowboarding, only because it takes to do powder. It takes some chops. You have to really you have to go like 4, 5, 8 times a year just to get on the mountain, just to get strong enough to be able to go to 5 or 6 days of powder. And I don't have the desire to go to the mountain and just go down groomed surfaces and scrub off speed, because I might get hurt if I fall over. So I've lost my need for speed now. So
well, it's also the other people, like the kids and the families coming out, and they don't know what they're doing. Sorry, but running into you. So I love snowboarding as well, but I took up wakeboarding here.
Oh, great,
because it was similar, and wake surfing, because it's similar, but it's also, I do want to be on the boat every day if I could. Yes. So it's not like, snowboarding is a lot of preparation to get over there and get geared up and everything. So surfing and wakeboarding and all that is similar.
Yeah, I had an e-foil for 2 years, an electric foil.
Those look awesome. Yeah. Especially in Miami.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
But again, I lost my need for speed, so it was a little dangerous to be. If you flip on those, you can get hurt with the blade. So it's like,
okay,
I'm just doing.
So
I'm
you're
just riding on the
adrenaline,
sand.
You're an adrenaline junkie.
I was. I'm slowly tampering that down.
You still have it in you. So I want to speak about your previous business a little bit. So most people with a $200 million exit would buy an island and disappear, or leave to an island and disappear. But you decided to start a company that, makes shoes with toes. Why, as an entrepreneur, did you decide to start something else other than just kind of relaxing?
Yeah, I've always been an entrepreneur, and I can't not work. I tried to be retired for like 2 days, and it was like driving me crazy. So I had always wanted to get this shoe thing going, and I felt very strongly about. I'm very passionate about foot health, foot care, and the fact that it's probably the lowest hanging fruit in the longevity world is foot health, and that's where I can really make an impact. So that was the passion, and then my son is my co-founder, and he's CEO of the company. So we worked together, and that was part of it.
Oh, how is that?
It's amazing. Yeah, it's great.
That's so cool. So
Yeah.
you're kind of able to teach him things that you learned along the way.
Well,
and
he's teaching me things now. But
Really?
Yeah.
I guess it's all different now with
Yeah.
marketing and what people
That's for sure.
want and what's out there and everything like that.
Yeah.
But have you always been an entrepreneur since you were younger?
Since I was 12, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you do at 12?
Mowed lawns in
Okay.
the summer, shoveled snow in the winter. I grew up in Maine. I made Christmas wreaths. I made a lot of money during the Christmas season selling wreaths, painted houses.
Okay.
I had a frozen yogurt shop in Palo Alto in 1982. Had a restaurant. I've had a lot of different businesses over the years.
So you're kind of one of those that just keeps trying things out until something sticks.
Yeah.
And you enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
How long did it take you going through the entrepreneurial journey to kind of hit the nail on the head?
I was 61 when I started Primal Kitchen, and that's when I finally. I mean, I made decent amounts of money my whole life, and I had some successful businesses. But the real Primal Kitchen started in 2014 when I was 61, and then I had an exit in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
So not too long of having that.
It was a quick
That's
rise. Yeah.
very impressive. But you kept going until, you're 60 or 50
Oh, yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever
yeah.
and decided to,
Yeah,
try,
no.
keep trying
I
things.
mean, it was never an issue. I had a fairly successful supplement business before I had Primal Kitchen, and that would have supported me for the rest of my life. But I wanted to, I was writing Mark's Daily Apple, and it was all about food and how could you improve your lifestyle and life by eliminating bad food and eating better. That was really the original impetus behind the Primal Blueprint and the paleo diet. And pretty early on, I recognized that I was writing so much about food and not so much about supplements, and I had a supplement company. So I thought, well, I should be selling things you put on food to make food taste better, not so much supplements. And that's what sort of started the whole Primal Kitchen thing.
No, it's super interesting, your journey as an entrepreneur, because I think a big issue right now with people that are in their 20s and 30s is looking on social media and seeing the end result and thinking they need it at the age of 25. They should
Yeah.
have these mansions and a successful business and everything
bizarre.
should just be set up.
It's bizarre.
But it's almost making people depressed
Yeah.
when they don't have that.
Yeah.
And it's totally not realistic. And it's a stepping stone to where you'll be when you're 60,
Yeah.
70 years old. And I think people have no idea what that even looks like because no one's sharing that. So that's why I really like to hear your story and listen to, where you began and where you are now, because it's not
Yeah,
one
I
day
mean,
to the next.
I tell my kids I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up until I was 47, and then I changed my mind again at 61. No, but I started when I was 43. I left. I did have a job with a boss for 5 years. That's the only job.
Probably
I've ever had.
didn't last very long, I was going to say.
it was horrible.
Yeah.
And so I started my own vitamin company. But I started the company with no money in the bank, a wife, 2 children.
Wow.
Had to borrow money to start the company. It was, it wasn't a sure thing. It wasn't a guarantee. But I was a risk taker, and still am to a certain extent. So that was an amazing time. And probably the best part of that is my kids saw what it took to build a business. They didn't come into generational wealth, which is what we have now. They saw me struggling. They saw we lived in a small condominium, didn't drive great cars. Were kind of hand to mouth for a bunch of years, and they saw that. They saw what happened as a result of the hard work, and so they both appreciate that now.
It's almost better going from that point because you're like, this has to work.
Oh, yeah.
Like I have to keep trying because it has to work. I don't have another choice.
For sure, yeah.
And so it's almost better being in that situation. I always say that kids that maybe did have it all when they were younger, I think it's harder for them because they can relax, they can chill. They know in the back of their heads that they have a backup plan.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like you're never gonna work as hard as you can in a lot of cases, not all.
So that's a great point. I mean, my son, so by the time he joined my company, he was already set, and so what I wanted for him was I just said, look, I'm gonna set you up so that you don't have to take a second shift at McDonald's, that you don't have to sleep on a friend's sofa while you're pursuing your dream. So, and because and my daughter's the same way, because they're both conscious enough about, wanting to find their own way in the world and wanting to establish themselves and prove themselves. It was never an issue about falling back on, on whatever it is that I set them up with. So you could almost argue that makes them, I might even say it makes my son work harder. Because now he really feels like, I could have just not worked that hard and coasted, but now I really have to work. If that's what I want to do, now I really have to kind of do this.
To live up to it. Okay, I understand that. The two sides to it.
Yeah.
It could definitely go both ways.
It can go both ways, yeah.
And did you research ahead of time kind of like, should I go into this? Or was it always just kind of, I want to be in this industry, I want to be in this business?
With the shoes or with
just
food?
With everything, your whole journey.
It's weird because I had no business being in the food business. I broke all the rules, and as a result, the rules changed because I came in. So I had enough naivete and hubris to not know enough about what I was getting into to think that I could do it. Many of my advisors would be people who would say, "What, you're gonna launch one product, a mayonnaise? You don't have anything behind it?" Or when we had several products, they're in different aisles of the supermarket? Well, they got to be next to each other, and we did all these things wrong, and we had one of the most successful growth stories certainly in the better for you food space in the past several decades. With the shoe industry, same thing. One of my early teammates on the Aggie Running Club, when we were not 1978, 79, 80, we were one of the best running clubs in the country. We had 10 guys qualify for the Olympic trials in 1980. And of that team, one of them went on to become president of Reebok.
Wow.
And then president of Deckers Shoes. Another one went on to be senior exec at Adidas. So all of these people have been in the shoe industry, all my teammates. So I know people in the shoe industry. And when I told them one of my guys who became my advisor, I said, I want you to work with me. I want you to be my consultant. I'll pay, but I want to do this 5-toed shoe. And he goes, "You crazy? It'll never work. It's a bad idea." And as we get further down the road, he's like, "Maybe it'll work." And then as it got further and further down, I was like, "Oh, this is
definitely gonna work."
This is a great idea. Yeah. So, but that was the bias that he had with having been in the industry for a long time, and having seen what happens historically, but not understanding that that times change. I'll give you another example. The Atkins diet was a great diet. The guy knew his science. You would lose weight on the Atkins diet. The problem was the execution. The products were so horrible. The fats were bad. All the products were just substandard products, and so the Atkins diet went and fell off a cliff, and nobody did a ketogenic diet for another 15 years until the next cycle comes around, and now all of a sudden the keto diet is the thing, and if you do it right, it's one of the most effective diets you can lose weight on. But even though Atkins had all the science right, the execution was poor, and that's what I'm thinking went on with this shoe industry, was that a minimalist footwear industry started in the 2005, 6, 7, and all the science was there, but the execution was poor, and for whatever reason, it didn't take off, and so it died, and now it's 20 years later, and I think it's time to resurrect all of that science that was clearly working, and they knew what they were talking about, but I came along with an idea that I could execute better.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the problem with most all businesses is they're just not doing it right. The management's bad. The team is not good.
Yeah.
They're unprofessional, whatever the case may be.
Right.
So if you have a good team behind you and you've had experience building other businesses, there's no reason why it can't work.
Exactly.
Yeah. So going back to, I guess the training side of things.
Yes.
What is your day-to-day in Miami? And also, why did you choose Miami to live of all the places you could live?
Well, I lived in
Start
Malibu.
with that.
I lived in Malibu for 35 years. But when it's no secret, when I got ready to sell my company, I was not about to pay the state of California 15% of everything I worked my life for. So I moved to Miami because for the tax reasons. And we'd spent time here over the years. So I knew enough about the areas of Miami, South Beach, where I live. So we moved here thinking, well, it'll be 3 years, and then we'll reconsider. Well, we've been here 7 years, 8 years now.
Sucks you in.
Yeah, it sucks you. And it's great. I love it. I mean, I love the weather. I love the warm water. I love the sand, the beaches. I like the humidity. I like the heat. Food's great. Music's great. It's quick to get to Europe, quicker than California.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of great things about Miami. There's a reason that Miami is like,
it's
still up and coming as the
growing
place to
like
be.
crazy. Yeah. So do you leave in the summer then, typically, or?
Typically, we'll go for like 2 months somewhere else. I think that's going to change this year. I like Miami enough to stick around, even in the summer.
Yeah, I've been like, there's so much to do.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. But your day-to-day here in Miami specifically, I know you said you paddle, you wake up, but give me a little bit more details of wake up, breakfast, kind of what's your day
No,
day-to-day.
I don't do breakfast. So I wake up, have a cup of coffee. I'm pretty devout player of certain games, whether it's Quartiles or Wordle or crossword puzzles. Or spelling bee, New York Times spelling bee. So I have like 8 things I do every morning that are my first brain activation things. So while I'm having my coffee, I'll do my puzzles. Then I go to work a little bit. I do some emails. Usually break for a workout around 10:30. So I'm not an early morning workout person. So if it's a gym day, I'll go down to the gym at 10:30. If it's a paddle day, I'll start paddling around 10. If it's a fat bike on the sand day, again, probably 10. So finish up around any one of those after stretching around noon. Back to a little bit of work. Then I usually have lunch around 1. This is my first meal is lunch. Then more work. This is afternoon, so I often have podcasts or things like that. I have Zoom calls throughout the day with the Paluva team. So I met you down in the lobby. I was finishing up a Zoom call with our marketing team. And then I try to fit the day in that way. And then around about 5 o'clock, 5:30, I go for a walk in the afternoon. So I live near South Point Park. So it's an amazing walk at night. It's just the sun's going down behind the city. It's
that Smith and
spectacular.
Walensky restaurant, area is like
that's
stunning.
where I walk. That's where I walk. So that's really peaceful and calm. And I might make some phone calls while I'm doing that. And then dinner. Watch a little bit of TV, go to bed at a decent hour, and get up and do it all over again.
There we go. See, it's balance.
Yeah.
This is the key to health and happiness and a balanced lifestyle.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. The reason why I ask is because I think a lot of people see either people that are doing nothing and they're like, oh, I can just do nothing and have all these things. And same with workouts. I can just work out a couple days a week and be in great shape. And it's not really for most people how it works. But you have to have the balance.
Right.
You have to, have a mix of the two, like working really hard and also relaxing. So I think it's always interesting to hear someone's day to day and something that's realistic.
Yeah.
So one thing that you post that I really like on social media is your rating health trends and fitness exercises and all these things. So I want to do a couple of them with you.
Okay.
And have you rate them.
These are random. Okay.
Okay. Yes, they're random. Okay. So number 1, mouth taping for sleep.
On a scale of 1 to 10?
Yep.
3. People should probably learn how to breathe through their nose without having to tape.
Yeah, all the girlfriends are making their boyfriends wear mouth tape, and I never understand it. I guess for the snoring or something. But okay, drinking a gallon of water a day.
2.
Okay.
The human thirst mechanism is very efficient, and pretty much nobody needs to drink a gallon of water a day. And if you overhydrate, you sort of encounter other issues that don't manifest themselves as major red flags, but they're still not in the best interest of your health and longevity.
Minerals first thing when you wake up.
I mean, not a bad idea. I'd give those a 6, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Wearing toe shoes in the office.
Oh, 10, 11. No,
12.
No, because I'd give them a 9 because barefoot in the office would be a 10.
Okay.
All right.
So we should all just show up barefoot
I would always have people rather have people go barefoot whenever they can, but when you can't, then wearing toe shoes is a great next step.
I would love to spend a whole day barefoot just doing regular things and see people's reaction.
Yeah.
Have you ever done that before?
Not really. I mean, not in the sort of setting that you and I might envision. I've done it at camp or
funny to
in the
see.
summer as a kid. Yeah.
Okay, 72-hour water fast.
Oh, 3. I mean, I'd say if you're somebody who's in really bad shape and you've got some cancer you're dealing with, maybe it's an 8 once in a while. But people who do a 72-hour water fast on a regular basis, I think for myself it's just too much loss of muscle mass. I can't afford to lose that. And I'm the guy who wrote a book on ketogenic diets and on how ketogenic diets are preserve muscle tissue to a certain extent. But at some point, 72 hours is just a long time to go unless you have unless you have very specific something you're trying to address very specifically, like cancer or some weight loss thing.
Makes sense. Okay. Cold plunges.
Cold plunges used to be 8, now 3. But it can still be 8 if you do them right. But I think people are misusing cold plunges. So I think cold plunges became the rage in the last 5 years. I think it's already sort of past now. Cold plunge is a hormetic stress. It's a stress, and if you've already stressed your body today, either with a workout or work or a bad relationship or whatever, and then you get in a cold plunge, that's just more stress. The body doesn't know that one's better or not than the other. So how you orchestrate your cold plunge into your day is very important. Cold plunging after a workout negates the effects of the workout in most cases. So if you're trying to build muscle, you want to do that by increasing inflammation. So if you're going to go into a cold plunge, which is going to decrease inflammation, you're offsetting the benefits, the sort of tear down benefits of the workout. So cold plunging after a workout, not so good. Except if you're an NBA player and you got a game tomorrow night, then you're not worried about building muscle. Now you're talking about I want to recover and I want to de-inflame enough. I want to get my inflammation down enough to be able to play again tomorrow night. And then so there's so many nuances to when you do this. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's interesting. Okay, lymphatic drainage massages.
5, 6 probably. I mean, they're not bad. Yeah.
Okay. Crunches.
Crunches, 6, 7 on a scale of what could be done to build abs.
Okay. Bicep curls.
Again, 6, 7. There's some better compound exercises that you can do that integrate the entire shoulder girth and arm and that whole chain, kinetic chain.
Okay, drinking out of plastic.
No, drinking out of plastic. I don't care.
It's an obvious one.
Yeah, but it's a 3 or whatever, 3 or 4. It's not going to kill you, but it's something to be I think a little bit aware of.
Okay, that's all I got.
Oh, that's all you got.
I know. We need to think of some more. I
didn't have any 10s. I don't think. Shoes.
What would be a 10? Well, obviously walking.
Yeah, walking.
What's like a 10 out of 10?
Yeah, walking. But somebody asked me the other day, what is walking 10,000 steps a day? And I said that's probably an 8, because I think if you're walking 15,000 steps a day and you're ready for it, that's more of a 10.
Yeah.
So
those exact numbers are hard to put.
And then if you're walking 7,000 steps a day, but you haven't walked much before, that's a 10 for you.
Mm-hmm. It is very dependent on the person and what you've been doing, I think. So it's tough to say. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. And where can they find you and all of your products?
Okay. So I'm on Instagram. I'm Mark Sisson Primal. And then I have a newsletter, Sundays with Sisson, that you can sign up for. I have a new newsletter behind a paywall, although some of it's free, called Untethered on Beehive. And then the shoes are Peluva, peluva.com. And the Instagram site for the shoes is Wear Peluva.
Okay. I will put it in the description below.
Okay.
Thank you for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Annie.
See you guys next time.